Hello everyone, Jamie Romine here. I hope you are all doing well. I'm going to change it up a little bit. It is still a quote. It's just one that every now and then I'll share these quotes on my page. And tonight's quote, I decided to do a live on it instead of just sharing it. Oh, excuse me. I've already shared it, but I'm interested in this live. Here's the quote. In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or step back into safety. And why this is important to me is the mindset I had when it was time for me to do my personal development. I will tell a little bit of this story. I was working with a different company in the marketing business, and they were having a convention, so I flew to Orlando to spend a couple of days around some of the leaders to learn a little bit. Little did I know they had another leader there that specializes in personal development. In the last few hours of that day, he gave us a few exercises. And one of the main exercises that we did, I'm not going to give details on it too much, because if you ever decided to go through some kind of personal development and you happen to do some of these similar exercises, if I tell you my story, then it could hinder your thoughts and make you do my story instead of what you need to do. I hope that makes sense, but I'll tell you enough. So on the exercise that we had to do, we had to choose someone in the room that we did not know. And most of us had already met each other online. And what little confidence I had at that moment, I didn't really want to get up and pick anybody. So as I gathered my stuff up in one spot, I was already tapped on the shoulder, and this dude was hitting me like up on the, like, "Hey, would you be my partner?" I'm like, "Sure." And then he actually wanted to go first, which was great because he understood more of what we were doing. Then when it was my time, a sentence that I said to him is something that had been said to me for years that I wasn't seeing and I wasn't hearing, right? But it's like once I said it out of my own mouth, it's like it was a slap in the face. And I knew I'd been wrong for all these years. So I knew that I needed to make a change. They offered us to go to a more in-depth course for personal development, and I knew I needed to be there. So I made sure I got up the money to go. Oh, excuse me. And that changed my life. I've had to fight back some of those old urges. Like the first trip was in February. The second trip was in April. And when I say a more in depth, the one in April, in February we had like 2 hours with this guy. He gave us 3 exercises real quick, right? Well, when we went to the one in April, it was 9 hours a day for 3 days. We did like 33 different exercises, let folks talk. It was a bunch of different things. Amazing. The best thing about it was there was no judgment. And that helped you be able to be 100% committed. Well, after I come back home, getting around some of the old vibes, it was hard to stay concentrated, but as humans, we'll slip, and then I'd feel bad about myself. I'd beat myself up. Then I would, realize I don't need to do that. That's making me worse. So I had to learn over the time to not react so quickly and work on the things properly. That was my growth. The part where it says step back into safety, multiple times I could have done that. I could have just said, I'm going back to what I know. I've done that. I had done that for 40 something years. Let's just, well, it was right at I, 40, 40 years. So I could have just said, oh, I've been doing this for 40 years. Let's just do that. But no, I said, no, I know things need to change. And in order to have that change, I had to change. And the more I learned that and the more I stuck with it, the better I got, the better I got. And I share all this with you guys because I'm not bragging that I did some personal development. It was a great thing, and I recommend that anyone that feels like they need some growth, especially subconsciously, it's a great thing to do. I don't ever see anything online from the guy that was over that course anymore. But again, I'm not with that particular company that I went to the convention for. I decided to swap over to My Daily Choice because I liked the way the products are. Anyway, and the composition plan. But that's beside the point. It's more about, on this live, it's more about this, stepping forward for your growth. Now, I'm no trainer on personal development. I do love to help give you different thoughts that you may not be seeing, if that makes sense. And it's not that I'm trying to prove you wrong. It's what happens, and what took me years to understand is it may take multiple times of hearing the same thing. It may take hearing it one time from someone else, no matter how many times you've heard it from this person. And I hope that makes sense. Sometimes it can be from the same person, and it may be 100 times before it clicks. But then again, there also may be times where you just don't understand why things happen the way they did. And when you hear it from someone else's perspective on the possibility of what it could be, it's like a slap in the face sometimes. Because I've had a conversation with a friend from school years ago. Just this past year, I had a conversation with this person, and they were telling me about how they felt during childhood versus adulthood and how it affected that person, and how they felt between the siblings there was different ways of being treated, like favoritism for a child, if that like the one parent had favoritism over one of the kids. And when the person was telling me the feelings and how it felt like it was played out, I made a comment, and that person had never thought of it that way, and hit me back and was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. And then it was like a day or two later, they hit me back and was like, it was like there was a relief. They felt better because now it's like it was understood a little more. It still didn't make it right, but it was understood a little more. And here's the thing. You can have, those hurt feelings from how you were raised. You might not like the way things were done to you, verbally or physically. But if you don't understand it, whether it's right or wrong, if you don't understand it, you can't have that growth. So try to find that understanding. Ask for help if you need to. But try to find that understanding, because once you find a little bit of understanding and you can grow from that and understand more, the most important part that you need to understand is you got to get rid of that grudge. Holding on any kind of grudge is more toxic for you than anything. There was a lot of things I didn't like about my childhood. some of how I acted, I learned from, let's just say, like my father. And I feel like deep down there was always that grudge, right? And I got to have my personal development in 17. And in April, when I did that big personal development, I would, me and the family would go visit more often, a little bit more often. Not as often as I would like, just because I never had the time because I was working so much. But then at the end of that year, we found out he was going to pass away within the next few months. So we did get to spend more time here and there. And I got to go up the night before he passed, and, everybody left the room, and I just stood in there and talked to him. Whether he could answer me or not, it's like I know he could hear me, right? And I let him know that I forgave him. Because I couldn't hold a grudge and grow. I was already growing. I already knew I'd already let go. I felt like I needed to let him know. So I did. And I only mention all that because I promise you've got to get rid of these grudges. I have witnessed so many people wanting to hold on to grudges. There were so many different grudges I had that I had to let go. And that was the major one, and that helped me in my personal development exercises. And then I learned of some of the others that I had to let go. And I was able to do them myself from some of the things I learned while at that course. Okay. Get that growth going. If you need help, always hit me up or hit someone up that you know can help you along the way. But here's another key thing I want to mention. Because of how I had been in my past, there's some people that I've talked to that thought I had been hacked or my account had been overtaken because of the positive and inspirational stuff that I've been putting on my page. It was like, this ain't the Jamie I know. Somebody's done took over this account. Some of my close friends that I talk to more often knows that I've had that change, and they have been messaged asking about me and the difference, and they're like, yeah, this really truly that is Jamie. And I say all this because if you reach out to your friends and they tell you don't waste your time, it's worthless, please reconsider who you're going to be hanging out with. I don't like telling people who they can and can't have as a friend unless like my kids, I will to a point when I've seen the mistakes made too often, too many times, that they're not learning from their lesson, that I have to step in. But what I mean by watch who you're hanging with or listening to, you can hang around certain people and they can bring you down no matter how much you are up. It's a hard lesson. It's a hard road for one person and amongst a group that are more negative, for that positive person to keep everybody in a positive mindset. It's like if you get in a fight, 4 or 5 people is going to overtake you, correct? Well, if you're in a room that's got a bunch of negativity, you're going to possibly, as much as you are not going to want to, you'll hit some of that negativity vibes. You may not start blurting out negative things because you want to be a positive person, but those vibes will just corral your brain. And I'm saying all this because the better growth you'll get by hanging out with the people that's going to support you. Even if it's a silent support, to me, that's better than all the outrage of negativity coming at you. Now, it's going to happen. As much as we live in a negative world, you're going to get attacked, per se. People that don't, there's people that have jealous over somebody having a better life, and they just think they need to stab at them and constantly bring them down, thinking they can break them. I get it a lot. Quit wasting your time. You in Walker County, Alabama, you're not going to help people change to be positive. You're not going to save any lives. You're not going to make it in the marketing business because that's already a crooked area and they're not going to trust you. I hear all this crap. And this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to continue sharing these messages, these quotes, the training I get from Robert. I'll continue sharing my daily choice in the marketing company. I decided to help expand because of the composition plan and the products that I absolutely love. Because that's another thing that no matter how many times I've mentioned quotes, you'll see me mention the same thing often. It's because that's what's real. But it's also because it might be that 100th time that you heard it that made a difference for you. I did not mean for this to be over a 16-minute live, but I get so into this stuff because I want to help so many people see that you can be a better person. You can also make money doing other things. And I'm not trying to sell you at this moment, but I just want you to know open-minded people can grow and find other ways to do things. It's what makes us so unique as humans. We can make things work. And trying different things until you know you're happy is what's key. You had to try things to get to the point where you were happy. Now, as long as you are still happy, that's great. But at times we get broke from those things. Could be because of people that are around us, like bosses or whatever. And we got to find another thing to make us happy. Always be looking, always be growing. But here's also another thing. If you find something that makes you happy, that's great. Never give up on goals. Always be adding goals. When you hit, I'll tell you this. A couple of years ago, I had all my goals wrote down, typed up and hung on the wall in the bathroom. And every morning when I'm brushing my teeth, I'm reading those goals. And then I went out of town. A lot of you guys know I was in Australia for 2 years. And while I was gone, I come home and the goals were still hanging there. And I got to looking at them, and I think it was around 20 goals, and all of them I'd hit except for 5. But I was gone and did not make any more, right? And I just took them down. I was like, man, 15 out of 5, or 15 out of 20, hell yeah. I never made any more. And then it hit me here about 2 months ago that I didn't have my goals wrote down anymore. I wasn't going over my goals. I wasn't going over my gratitude on how grateful I am for the things that I do have. And so I changed it. I now have goals again. I have a list of gratitude things that I go over every morning as soon as I get up. I do my meditation in the morning. I do a meditation at night. I have changed so many things just in the last... Well, I started the meditating thing mid-September. And here's what I want to run that by you on. Greatest miracle in the world. There's a chapter in there. Read the whole book, but there's a chapter in there where you got to do an exercise. And do that exercise. Here's what, for all you guys that follow me, do this exercise. Do the instructions, and after you do that, hit me up. Send me a private message if you've done it, because I want to congratulate you when you do it, but also talk to you about how you feel now. This book is amazing. Not only, if you have issues like trusting yourself or confidence, or because you don't feel worthy, that book helps you realize how worthy you are. We are all worthy. We are all worthy. Some of us are dealt a harder hand, but it's how we play that hand. And it's like, me and one of my daughters were talking last night, and the conversation or the saying of your actions is what. Oh crap! Can't even think of it now. But your reaction of the actions is what's going to cause your path. Pave your path. And we all know this. Somebody can come at us, and it's our choice to act on it. It's our choice of how we're going to react to it. I kind of went everywhere in this live, but hey, I felt right saying all this. So, in saying that, I'm always looking forward to your thoughts and your comments, and I'm always looking forward to helping the next person, whether it's growing here or growing here. That's what helps with everyone. All right? Remember this too. Stay focused, stay positive, and never give up.